Welcome everyone to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter. That is Tara. I'll explain why in a second. This is going to be our discussion of Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 8. It's called The Sanctuary. So full spoilers for the episode as always. Connor's computer died at the weekend, so the review wasn't out on the usual day. Usually it goes out on a Saturday, but it wasn't this time. And he has ordered a replacement, so he will be back in a few weeks, but it won't be coming till probably around Christmas, maybe a little bit after. So for the weeks that he is gone for Star Trek Discovery, Tara has volunteered to opt in and give me someone to spar with? I don't know. Bounce off of? I don't know. Someone. She's here. We have... There's two of us.
Hello.
Because it was almost just me on my own talking to you, which I'll be honest, I don't think would have been that entertaining for this particular show. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that someone who might have a slightly different opinion on some of this might give me some put up a fight, I guess. A little bit. So
I'm a Discovery apologist, I guess, on the show.
Well, oddly though, things that we like more about season 2, you hate about season 2. So
yeah, I didn't really care much for season 2, but I love season 1.
I didn't like the ending of season 2, but I really didn't like season 1 that much. But anyway, we're here to talk about the Sanctuary, which is an episode where Book's brother, not by blood, but essentially brother, calls him back to the home planet, and Osyraa, the leader that we heard a lot about from the slave camp, the guy there was working for Osyraa. We finally meet her. She's the leader of the chain, this group.
The Emerald Chain?
The Emerald Chain.
Which I guess is run by the Orions. I wasn't expecting to do this, so I haven't been, rewatching all the episodes like I usually do. So, I don't know a lot of the details.
I'm not too worried about it. In the context of this episode, we know that she really wants the Andorian who was saved from the previous episode, who is on the ship, and she's willing to go through Book and use Book as leverage to get to him. And we find out about the whole, his home world and how there's these locusts that sort of appeared after the burn. It kind of, because the moon changed, so the tide changed, and the crops started getting eaten. But Osyraa was able to offer them something like a repellent to get rid of them and make them go back to the water. So that's kind of the what she holds over them in perpetuity. Although until the end of this episode, when they magically think of a solution that means that they don't have to rely on her anymore. That said, she is
the
still...
power of friendship.
Yeah, she's still very vengeful though, and she's still going to be coming after them because the Discovery helped fight back. Not directly, because they were told in no uncertain circumstances they're allowed to actually intervene. They're just there to sort of, maybe assist diplomatically, but they're not allowed to ever actually get involved. But they think of a few loopholes to get around that. Detmer ends up going on a bit of a joyride with Book's ship and sort of regaining her mojo by flying manual, and it did lead to the Andorian going, what's this? What's that noise it's making? In reference to the cat, which was amusing. What did you think of this episode?
I thought it was pretty good. I don't think it's like a standout episode or anything, but I enjoyed a lot of the extra lore that we got for our future in this universe. I liked the design of the alien locusts, that they have instead of wings, they have these bulbs that are filled with either some sort of gas, probably, that the insect produces. I thought that was a cool design. I liked the Adira side plot. The Detmer stuff I didn't love. I don't know. It might just be, I don't think the actress is very strong, which it sounds cruel, but I don't really know, because she's not really given very much to do other than give her co-pilot a look every now and then. So when she's put in the spotlight, I don't know if she's that strong of a character or an actress.
It's just I know what gets me about that is that I actually really appreciate that they've tried to give a subplot to one of those bridge characters and give her something to get over, and this is an episode getting her mojo back, because she's had those little freeze moments. But it's one of those things where I love that they're doing it. I don't know if I actually love the execution of how they've done it. So I'm conflicted about it.
Well, she's a pilot, so she got to, be the best pilot again, which is fine. I think the strongest stuff in this episode, though, is the Georgiou stuff, because I think Giorgio is like the best character in the show, and she is someone that I surprisingly care about, even though her background I shouldn't, but I do. Michelle Yeoh is a fantastic actress. Her character is just so interesting and so like magnetic. She's got charisma.
It was one of the most interesting things they introduced in the last couple of episodes. A couple of episodes that I was not particularly passionate about. Well, I was quite passionate about last week's episode, but I was passionate about how it kind of failed to do anything or achieve any of the things that I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did like about her in the last couple of episodes was this idea that someone who has grown up in a world where asking for help is a weakness, and she's so dead set against it that now she has to accept all this help. It's quite an interesting path to go down. And this episode, she essentially is getting treatment from Culber and is basically being a nightmare patient and fighting with them every step of the way. To the point where I did chuckle a little bit, where she's like literally mid-insult when they knock her out, and they're like, "Oh, peace and quiet." Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I think the concern, probably my favorite line in this episode about this was probably just a simple thing at the start, where when they mention her mother, Giorgio says, "Oh, I killed my mother," and Michael immediately goes, "Yeah, you've said, and no, you didn't." Almost like she's calling her out on her macho bullshit. And I kind of appreciate that, because I feel like an actual little interesting character bit that Michael knows full well that she's actually lying about half the evil shit she gloats about. Like, it's all about stature. It's all about her saying, "Yeah, I did this and I did that," and
You're right, and it gives her like no leverage in this universe at all.
Yeah,
but it's always worked for her, so she can't help but do it.
To the point where even like Culber's calling her out on her shit, where she's like, if I had time, I'd murder your children. And Culber doesn't get offended. He just says, "If I had time, I'd have kids, so shut up."
Yeah, I think that was the strongest stuff in this episode. But I like seeing the Orions a lot. There is sort of a continuation from Enterprise. There's a storyline in Enterprise where, you've seen the Orions from the original series and how like the Orions have seemingly slave women, but Enterprise does like an episode where they sort of retcon that by like having the women actually put out pheromones, so it's actually the men that are slaves, but they're all slave to the women, which is I don't know, I don't think it's as woke as they wanted it to be. I don't think it holds up as well, but they do sort of continue that here, where they have a woman in charge, and that was
the guy from the previous episode was petrified of her. In fact, she kills him. She feeds him to one of the transworms at the start of the episode to show us how evil she is. I think the main plot is kind of how I felt with a few of the main plots recently, which is it's perfectly watchable, it's perfectly serviceable, but I feel nothing from it, if I'm honest.
I think I've been all right with season 3 so far. It's been less like I don't really know what I'm going for here, but there is something about it that I do enjoy a lot more than season 2. It might just be that there's no Captain Pike in it.
Oh, this is crazy. Pike was the best part of season 2, so this is crazy talk.
Yeah,
crazy
Captain
talk.
Stepdad.
Yes, and Captain Stepdad was delightful. Okay, that's fine. Actually, probably one of the best running things in this episode. Although I thought it oddly didn't have an ending, and I guess it's because they're going to have a big moment later in the season where he finally has it. But it was Saru trying to pick his engage line, where he's
that was cute.
Yeah, he's like he tries execute, he tries hit it. Tries carry on, and carry on at the end kind of gets like, this wasn't that bad, I suppose. But I don't think that was it. I don't think that's the moment that's going to like stick. Like I feel like maybe even the finale, he's going to say something which at least the writers are going to hope it sounds cool and fits Saru.
Yeah, I do love that Saru is such a new captain that he's like, we get to see a captain figure things out like this. Like we've never had that before in this Trek series, and maybe it kind of comes off as he's a bit of a weaker captain, but we just get to see the learning curve. That's all. Like, honestly, throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
Honestly, this trying to find a catchphrase thing to me feels less like an actual captain thing and more like a meta joke that the writers are just having fun with. Because the previous captains, so it's not all of them, but most of them have had something like that. They've had a phrase.
Yeah. Like even in the movies, they have different catchphrases.
Yeah, so I think that's just them having fun, but it feels like a really good natured joke. Poking fun at Star Trek itself, and Tilly being this really hard ass first officer.
I love it. I thought it was great. She went full Riker on that Andorian when he came in like disrespecting the captain.
No, I mean, yeah, she's doing an alright job. I still question the logic of the ensign being given first officer. Like, it's just so weird. I don't think
it's temporary.
It is temporary, but I don't think this. I really don't think the episode last time justified this decision. But whatever, we're in that situation now. It's entertaining.
We have a skeleton crew,
so we'll go with it. But yeah, and then I mean, but we haven't really so we should probably talk a bit more about the main plot. I mean, I guess the key thing is that by the end, Book and his brother have kind of made amends, and Book wants to be a part of Starfleet, which I guess had to happen eventually, just so he was going to remain on the show. But he's like, no, I see what Starfleet are doing out here, what the Federation stands for. I want to be a part of that. We don't get a scene of him going to Saru. That maybe happens between episodes because Michael says he has to. But yeah, and I wonder, because like they're so bare bones as a Federation right now, if the process of becoming an officer is a little bit. Yeah, a bit more streamlined. So you don't have to go through as many rungs or go to the academy per se. You've proven yourself valuable. Here you go, here's a badge. you're on the crew now. I could see them doing something.
They don't have to take the test, the Kobayashi Maru test.
Did everyone have to take that, or was that just more of a if you're?
I'm sure that's a command thing.
Yeah, if you're just going for command, yeah, I'd have thought so. But I suppose Tilly should be, because she was doing the captain's test or the command test last season, which they did reference.
They don't have full on holodecks yet, I don't think. Well, actually, maybe they do.
Discovery doesn't, but I mean, they should have one now because the future tech should have retrofitted it.
Oh yeah, they should put a holodeck on the Discovery.
Keep in mind, we're 930 years or whatever it is into the future now, so we're past all the other shows. So there should be holodecks.
Yes, and somebody should have a relationship with a character from the past, or not a character, but like an actual person. Like there should be, Janeway has Mark Twain for some reason. I think it was not Mark Twain. Mark Twain was like a Guinan thing. Janeway has Da Vinci. She talks Da Vinci all the time. There's the Sherlock Holmes stuff from TNG, so we have to have something for the Discovery. Like Michael has to go in and talk to, I don't know, Gandhi or someone.
Gandhi.
Someone crazy.
I mean, there's a lot. Obviously, the loophole thing about, okay, what if a rogue pilot goes and fights the ship? Because this is the thing. They're firing on the planet. They're trying to put them in a position where Michael, or more importantly, Book, will be captured, so they can get the Andorian. And it's like, okay, if someone goes rogue, and we'll discipline them afterwards. And I do actually wonder if there'll be follow up to this, where the Admiral actually insists on disciplining Detmer for the choice for her to go rogue and fire upon the ship using this civilian ship. I will say, I'm getting one of the things that I've been getting tired of basically since he showed up is every single episode we have this scene with the Admiral where he angrily tells them why they can't do something, and then Michael and Saru, mostly Michael, will just complain at him until he gives in and lets them do the thing they're asking.
Yeah, you're right. It has been that scene on repeat so far.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a trend.
I don't hate the character yet. I sort of want to see more of him and like more of a main role.
He's still one,
because I am still very fascinated by this future Federation. Like I know they're very bare bones right now. They don't really have a whole lot going on, but like I just want to get more into his mind.
He's very one note so far, and it's because they just keep giving us the same thing on repeat. So we're not really getting any layers to him or any depth to him. It's just kind of he's a bad.
I mean, maybe he'll turn out to be like the villain at the end of the season. I don't know, but
I will hate that. Please no. I will hate if they do that. I'm already worried about the song, right? Which okay, in this episode might just be because it's a signal coming from a Federation ship, but I'm really worried with that Federation ship in this cluster that they're going to go try and find. Presumably next episode or soon is going to end up. So see if it ends up being like another Discovery from like later in the timeline or something. I'm going to be annoyed because I'm sick of like, oh, Michael's the chosen one again. Like somehow it's Michael.
Well, I mean, I think maybe it's Adira this time, if that is going to be the case. She's the one who knows the song. Well, I guess they've heard it in more than one place, right?
I should correct you. They are the one that
They. You're correct.
heard the
This
song.
episode did explain it very clearly.
Well, as I actually do have a problem with that scene. Not because, like, I think it's great that Star Trek's addressing this. I think it's great that they're doing something with this, where Adira says, no, not she, they. What I did think was weird about it, though, is that it plays like it's taking place in present day, because Adira is clearly very worried about saying this to Stamets, and it's like a relief moment when he sort of says, okay. And that's great, but the problem is that I had in the back of my head, I was like, but you're telling me in 930 years, I mean, it's actually more than that, it's 930 years since they jumped forward, so it's, thousands of years from now. You're telling me that in, like, 2000 years, a person who wants to change their pronoun or has a preference is going to have to feel the same weight of telling someone as they do now. Because Star Trek's whole thing is about how a lot of things have gotten better. We don't have money anymore because we've solved that problem and we do things differently. So you're telling me that nothing's improved on that side of things. So there was a bit of a cynical part on the back of my brain that was kind of critiquing it.
I guess, but it is the message that we need to hear right now, right? Like,
that's true.
I did notice when I looked on IMDb, because I was looking at who played the villain Orion lady in this episode, and I saw that it had like the lowest rated. It was the lowest rated episode, and I just looked at the first review.
Oh yeah,
and I went, oh, I get it. Like, I know why now. People just don't like to be told what to do, even if they're wrong.
Shit stains on the internet whenever it comes to anything that you can describe as a social issue, and some of them they're more vocal
or
about than
anything
others.
that's like, anti-misogynist.
Oh sure, yeah.
Really.
I mean, anything. We see it with any social subject that comes up in a TV review or anything. We when we did the new Twilight Zone episode that was about Me Too, like the comments we got in that were horrible, and you can see it. And I think, like this is definitely the worst episode of this season. Was by far the one with the memory pulls back in episode 4. I hated that episode. That was like a tedious 45-minute like chore to sit through that episode. I like what it's doing in the episode. I love the message that it has. It just stood out to me that this is just what it is now. Like this isn't advanced in so many years. I don't know. I think it's because what Star Trek is, where Star Trek's whole thing is that things get better and that we do learn from our lessons and we do improve as a society.
Yeah, these lessons come up, but they're usually not through humans. Like it's done through aliens.
Yes.
And both of our characters here are human. Yeah. One just has a symbiotic trill.
So I think that's a fair complaint. But other than that, like Adira being worried that their boyfriend isn't like talking to them anymore is kind of an interesting little wrinkle in the story there. I also like, because the part of this that I do like is when they then start talking about how whenever they wake up they don't know if they're going to be more Adira today or more of this other like person who was there before, someone who down the line of the trail, like whatever one is dominant for that day. And I thought that was an interesting sort of lens to sort of bring up a lot of these subjects, and is this species that's literally jumping between different personalities, and which one feels more comfortable today and feels more like the
right. And it goes along with the asexual I don't know what to call it, but like that whole, I don't want to say plot point, but kind of, like, because Adira did bring up, like, sometimes I feel more like a woman and some days I feel more like a man. And I think that's a cool way of, talking about it, is using the trill species. In Deep Space Nine had a trill character who sort of became a representation for trans people, because on the show Dax, she had a symbiote that used to be in a man before her, and that man was friends with Benjamin Sisko, the captain of, or the captain of Deep Space Nine. So when he talks to this beautiful woman, he still calls her old man and stuff like that, and she sometimes just feels more like Curzon Dax that day. And you know, it was sort of an accidental like trans reference because the show never really did much with it. They never went down that route, but you know, she sort of became like a representation of trans in Star Trek. And I think now Discovery is playing up that the way that Deep Space Nine should have. And I think that's really cool of this show.
It's cool that it's trying. I have yet to be convinced that it's going to successfully do any of it, but so much of this show is potential that's then squandered, and I feel it every season. So I am not convinced. I'll wait. I'll see what they do with it, and I hope it works out. I really do. But and it's a shame because I really liked the first 3 episodes, and then I really didn't like 4, and I was really hit and miss in the last couple. This one's okay. But I'm definitely in a place just now where I'm still trepidatious. I'm like, you've hurt me before Discovery, and I'm not ready to.
Yeah, I don't feel that way about this season so far. I think this season has been just like kind of coast. It's been like an easy watch for me. Nothing has really irritated me. I don't really know where they're going with for like the big overarching storyline for this season so much. It's not as obvious as like the first 2 seasons. At least by now. Yeah,
I really hope that somehow the Discovery themselves, either in the past, traveling through time, or in the future, are responsible for the burn. That will upset me. Because the biggest groan I had of this entire season was when the masked woman appeared on the transporter last week, or was the week before, whatever episode it was, and the hood came up and it was her mother. I was like, oh no, I hate this.
Oh yeah, she was part of that Romulan murder nuns.
Yeah.
what they're called.
Vulcan / Romulan, like nun of peace or something, I don't know.
Yeah, the ones the absolute candor ones.
Yes.
I too rolled my eyes at that. It just seemed odd that that she would be given this important position in this like monk society where you probably would take a long time to earn that position in order to represent the whole planet, but I don't know, I guess she did it in a couple of years, so she is a Burnham after all. They're pretty good at that stuff.
Yeah. That's basically it. That's the episode. I have nothing much more to add.
Really? Okay.
Oh, so did you have anything you want to add?
I like, what else did I like in the show? I don't know, maybe we already talked about it. The stuff on the planet was okay. I did really like the scenes with the Andorian, because he kept saying like he needed to ask for help, but he doesn't trust the Federation because everything comes with a price, until he's like, what? No, it doesn't. Like,
yeah, the best...
There's still this more like building up of the Federation has a reputation for
the best
cheating people.
The best example of this is towards the end where he's talking to Tilly, and he says that when he was a kid, it was like a warning, like if you were being bad, if you were misbehaving, your parents say, oh, if you don't behave, you're going to send you to Federation summer camp. Because Tilly, it's a joke moment, because Tilly's like, yeah, that's not a thing. But is it? But this is the thing. I wonder if they're going to do a thing with this where we find out that there's some truth to it. Like, let's say, Oded Fair and the Badmiral and the Federation that exists right now, that is like the hub. Like, what if we find out? Yeah, they have actually been doing some shady things to try and like win various conflicts and battles. And
I do think it's sort of going in that direction. And one of the things that makes me think of that is the that short Trek episode where we go to the future, and the funny face guy. I'm not describing what he looks like. He's a beautiful man, but I can't remember what he was called. He had a cool name though. Anyway,
is this the one on the ship that's sentient?
Yeah, the sentient ship.
Right.
It was a romance, but he kept talking about war with the Vidraish, which kind of sounds like the Federation, like if you played a game of telephone over like 1,000 years, So it could be that the Vidraish there is the Federation.
That could either be good or bad. I think the reveal, because I said earlier on that if like the Admiral turns out to be the villain of the season, I'm going to be annoyed, because I do think the way he's been portrayed so far, that if he turns out to be the villain, it's like just such a lazy, shitty, like writing mechanic. Like it's just so like unappealing. And
I don't know if he'll be like mustache twirly, like, haha, I fooled you guys into thinking I was good, but it might be like more something, I don't know, deeper.
Yeah, but on the flip side, though, so I hate that part of it. I hate the idea of him being a villain, because the way he's been played so far, we just feel like, oh yeah, of course he's the villain, because he's been a dick every time we've talked to him. But on the flip side, I do kind of like the idea that the Federation themselves have actually betrayed what the idea that what the Federation is, and that ultimately Saru and Michael and co are going to like reject the new badges and say, no, we're building the Federation from scratch as what it actually is. We're going to,
right?
You know, so
well, it's the Discovery that's gotten people to like want to join the Federation so far.
And that could be potentially quite a dark moment if like they promise things to a bunch of planets, they build some allies, you know, and the idea of what the Federation means by promising them these things, and you know, the friendship and all the rest of it. And then the Admiral and the hub turn around and like turn their backs on everyone, and that'll make them look really bad. It'll be like, it could be a potentially devastating, heartbreaking big moment. There's potential in that. Like a lot of things in Discovery, there's potential in that. I hope if that is the route it goes, that it nails the morals and the kind of what the Federation means, and how much of a heartbreak that is to the ideals of these characters for that to happen. And the idea that, okay, well, now we have to really start from scratch. Because I think maybe one of the most disappointing things was when they found this hub, and I was like, oh wait, there is like a whole hub like with tons of ships and like a structure. I kind of like the idea of them just being this one rogue ship, and they just started growing the Federation from nothing. I was almost really disappointed when it was like, oh, here's all these really futuristic ships that have like Ultra Queen Apple looking interiors, and
yeah,
you know,
they have the little, I don't know, kinetic the control panel with just like a bunch of needles that pop up.
Yeah, the nano gel shit. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I hope it goes in a direction that I like. But the past 2 seasons have taught me to be very skeptical. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Season 1's really good on a rewatch.
Yeah, but you have to sit through all that Klingon dialogue.
Oh, I like it.
Oh my god! See, try to pay attention to those Klingon scenes when we were reviewing season 1. It was like difficult. I was having to hit the 10 or 30 seconds back button like so often, because I kept just zoning out and not like following the conversation. Like, oh shit! I don't even know what they're talking about anymore. I need to go back 30 seconds.
You know, I was surprised in this episode that it was, you know, to see Jonathan Frakes directing it, and there weren't that many Dutch angles in it, which is unusual for Frakes.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like a Frakes directed. It just felt like a typical Discovery episode, which yeah. I mean, in part is the job he's supposed to do. He's supposed to fit the style of the show. He's not supposed to bend it to his style.
Well, maybe they told him to like, hey, we're gonna try to tone down the Dutch angles this time.
Because I would
people are saying stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Discovery not having to be as much of an action show in how it's shot and edited, but I mean, that's the taste thing.
I think that's why maybe part of the Kayla Detmer storyline in this didn't really work as well for me as it should have, because everything that Discovery does is like this big epic thing with the sweeping music and the high octane like cinematography, that nothing feels like it's a special event, because even when they're, you know, chatting about something in like the engineering room, it's like super intense, you know.
Everything's over directed, so nothing feels special. Yeah. No, I agree. It's a problem I've had with the show since day one.
I have as well, but I still like look past it because I'm so happy to get more Trek. And I do really genuinely like the characters. You know, when Georgiou first had that moment a couple episodes ago where she seems to be struggling with her mind, I had a moment where like, oh, I hope nothing's wrong with her, because I really do care about this character, even though she's been nothing but evil for 3 seasons.
I will say that I am not happy to get more of something if it's the thing in name only. You know, I'm not comparing.
Well, it's universe building. You know, I want more.
I'm not comparing this. This is not a one-to-one comparison, right? Let me make that very clear. But I'm not happy with a Batman and Superman movie because it's called Batman v Superman. If it's not actually Batman and Superman in a movie, I hate it because you're just you're not doing what those characters are. You're bastardizing them.
Well, I don't think this has betrayed Star Trek in any way. This show, I think it's universe building. I think it's doing a good job. It's just little things like the direction and some of the tropey writing stuff that they do just to be like, oh, remember this big plot point? Well, now she's here and she's part of the Romulan murder nuns.
So what you're saying is it's not very good, but it's also not like harming the legacy of Star Trek.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not at all.
Yes.
But I would say it is good. I'm just saying it's not like great.
Just turn into our Picard reviews all over again. Okay, there you go. That's the Sanctuary. So we'll be back, and we haven't actually talked about when we're recording the next one yet, but I presume the next one will be a bit sooner than this one was. So look forward to our next Discovery review. Tara will be here for likely the next 2.
Yeah, I don't want to do these full time.
No.
So don't let Connor be like, oh, Tara can handle it from here. No.
Yeah. It
It's
could
still
be
your guys' thing.
It could be 3. It just kind of depends on when his computer arrives. But the next 2 or 3 will be Tara, and then Connor should be back. So, yeah. So let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show, you can do that a couple of different ways. You can hit the like button, which is very important. It's the free way to support us, and it helps us find new audience members. YouTube really values it in terms of how we get recommended out and things like that. Tara's going to tell you all about Patreon.
Aw, you don't make Connor do it on this show.
I don't.
All right. Yeah. If you enjoy these reviews,
it's not funny to watch Connor try. Connor just deadpans the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoy these reviews, please check out the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And donating as low as $1 per month will get you access to bonus episodes of other shows we do. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to shows 1 week early, like Star Trek reviews. Not this one, but the other classic Star Treks that you guys are working through, and Twilight Zone that you and I are working through, and Babylon 5. So please head on over and check that out. Thank you.
Yes. We go through a number of shows, and one of them is reviewed in the year 2020, and the name of it is Babylon 5.
I want to do my dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, but you don't like it when I do that.
I don't mind when you do that. I just don't recognize it from the show, which is why it makes me laugh.
Dun 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 dun. I'm gonna get it. I'll pay attention next time I watch it. Figure out the melody of the theme song. That is our Star Trek Discovery discussion. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?